All right, there's signs of optimism following positive second quarter GDP report, which was released by the NBC. How may we see this rub off on the NGX? And with a strong rally on BUA Foods, analysts are beginning to explore the possibilities of a food producer becoming the most valuable listed company on the NGX. Of course, they have Dangote and Airtel Africa to compete with there, but are the margins closing in? Let's get into it on the show today. This is Market Pulse on News Central in partnership with Nairametrics. We're bringing you, as always, that comprehensive breakdown of market activities for the day, and I am your host, Joanna Mustapha. So we're going to begin with the Nigerian Stock Exchange activities there today. The market strengthened its bullish run. Stockbrokers are attributing the upward trajectory seen today to buying interest in some mid to high capitalized stocks like Julius Berger. We are seeing the NGX gain 0.49%, I beg your pardon. Now the all-share index is at 96,510.13. Market capitalization inched down a little though, right, at 54.983 trillion naira. But of course, today was a bullish run. The market did gain again Tuesday, Monday. We're seeing it in the green. Now 49 gainers on the NGX today. The top four of them gained 10%. I mean, that's quite interesting to see. We're seeing John Holt, Julius Berger, NIMEF, Total. Julius Berger, we know it's one of the big cap stocks there. So we're seeing it gain 10%, 361 naira, 27 kobo is where it's at right now. So yes, 10% top four. Definitely that had a positive effect on the market. 49 gainers altogether. If you're coming to the bottom losers, just 14 of them in the red today on the NGX. Bottom losers, you have UPL, Kutix down 6.25%. Investors seem to be heavy on taking profits right now with Kutix. We're seeing, what's happening there. Vitafoam, Transcorp is another one on Transcorp PLC this time around. We've seen Transcorp Hotel within the last week on the losers list. We've seen the other subsidiary as well, right? Transcorp Power, I believe it was yesterday, was also on the losers list. And now we're seeing Transcorp PLC on the losers list. Not a very good sight to see. Dangote Sugar was also on the losers list today, down 4.40%. So, pretty much that sums up activity when it comes to top losers and gainers on the NGX today. Joining me for the market breakdown after this break is Biodun Adedotun. He's a sales trader, FBN Quest Securities. So stay tuned for that conversation on Pulse of the Day. All right, Pulse of the Day. To provide more insights on this and market activities for the day is Biodun Adedotun, sales trader, FBN Quest Securities. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Joanna. It's good to be here.
Great to have you in. Now, we're tracking some of the activities, especially this week on the NGX thus far. We're seeing a strong rally on BUA Foods. It's now attaining a total market capitalization of 7.108 trillion naira. The only stock in its way right now is Dangote Cement. When it comes to market trend, market cap, they're trending downwards, down to 9.065. Airtel Africa as well, 8.3 trillion. So can we begin to anticipate a time when the largest stock by market cap is a food producer? And what does that signify for the NGX?
Yeah, it's likely, it's a possibility. And one of the things that it's worthy to note about the Dangote food company is the proportion of the float. The stock is still tightly held. I think we still have about the floats available for trading is about 7% or less. And if you see the volume that has been done in recent times, it's not something that you really excite people for so much. Maybe your 500K all day or something like that. But because of the float limitations, it's easy for the stock to continue to rise. But one also needs to give kudos to the company. The company has really done well this year, even in the face of tight competition amongst its peers like Nestle and Co. And of course, the inflationary pressure within the economy. The company has also been posting very decent numbers. So it's very, very possible that we'll continue to see BUA Food soaring up.
Okay, so let's consider the possibilities of BUA Food, continuing to soar. There's somewhat an outlier when it comes to FMCGs who are taking on hits with their earning results. But, with BUA Foods, we're seeing the share price. I mean, it started at 193 naira 40 and has more than doubled since the beginning of the year, almost 400, naira now. So, I mean, what would you say are the drivers and the outlook for BUA Foods? What is driving that positive outlook for BUA Foods on the NGX?
One of the key things driving BUA Food is the company does not really have significant exposure to FX, if there's any at all. Its peers, Nestle and Co, Cadbury, the biggest challenge they have is the FX components. Some of them have FX loans on their book, materials used by BUA are really local, and it's, of course, inflationary pressure. They've been able to adjust prices to be able to compensate for the challenges and the struggles within the economy. So the margins have been quite healthy for BUA Food, and you can expect it to continue to remain so. So this is a business, is an indigenous business. They know how to do the business within Nigeria, and of course, they are really seated here. So they are not carrying the fluctuations or the volatility the FX is going to bring into their reporting.
I mean, that's a wonderful way to hedge against, FX and all the instability in that market right now. But we know, BUA Foods, its brother, BUA Cement, hasn't been doing as exceptionally. Along with it is also Dangote Cement. They're all spiraling downwards. There was a lot of, high hopes of a strong rally for the industrial sector on the NGX. Considering the presumed infrastructure drive of this administration. So what would you say has inhibited, that, and, can we expect a turn of events for that industry sector on the NGX going forward?
For the cement manufacturer, one major thing is energy cost, right? And of course, everybody knows it's actually a global phenomenon, right? Energy costs has really, really skyrocketed. We know what's happening with the Labour Congress and federal government with respect to, increase in tariff for PHCN and co. So energy costs is actually really one thing that they are really, really dealing with. Purchasing power is another thing because, hey, come to think of it, Nigerians are not, the purchasing power has decreased in the past 24 months or so, and that you can attribute to many issues such as the currency depreciation and what have you. So the cost of doing business, is really, really, it's a difficult operating environment for them right now, and energy really, really is part of a major cost. And these companies have been really, really burdened by it. So would I expect a turnaround, rapid turnaround now? Not really, but there is prospects.
All right, we'll continue to follow up with the prospects, of that positive turnaround within the sector. Let's follow activities on the NGX today. We saw quite, a number of gainers. I think about 42 gainers on the NGX today, and just 18, in the red today on the NGX. Yesterday as well, the market was in the green. Today in the green. Can we expect? The bearish run on the NGX, is it over, or is it too soon to say?
It's too soon to say, because when you look at the composite of the composition of these gainers, right, you see quite a lot of them, penny stocks. What I would say mostly is the market has been seeing a lot of speculative buying, especially you see among the insurance sector. You see among some companies that you'd rather not see good volumes before. So there's been a lot of speculative buying in the past 3, 4, 5 trading sessions. And, with speculators, they keep driving things until they run out of pockets.
All right, so speculative buying, too soon to say whether the bearish run is over. We'll continue to track the activities for the day. Now, National Bureau of Statistics, they released GDP numbers for Q2. We are seeing the economy, expand by 3.19%. How would you say, these figures and projections of perhaps improved GDP growth and, some are even saying easing of inflation figures, how would you say that could impact the market, this week and in the months ahead?
For the GDP figures, It actually really came to me as a bit surprising, but for the inflation is going to it's going to affect the market positively because if inflation continues to moderate, what it means is that the Monetary Policy Committee in their meeting in September would have basic reasons to be able to bring down the NPR. Of course, you know what's been happening to NPR. Businesses are really, really crying. The lending rate is too high. They are in short killer rates right now. So, and with NPR falling, of course, investors will continue to look for alternatives, and equities market will always remain attractive to them.
All right. I mean, we'll continue to see, what's ahead. Definitely exciting times from the indices ahead for the NGX. Stay with us. It's still, Market Pulse. We have Biodun who's going to stay with us for the next part of the conversation. Buy, sell, or hold. All right, to buy, hold, or sell, there's a growing conversation and perhaps a misinformation about banking stocks. So let's get into it, especially the opportunities for entry on banks' public offers and rights issues. Over the past week, there was a popular pastor, we're not going to give too much airtime, but he shared his experience in buying stocks, lampooning the public offers and rights issues, and pretty much told people not to buy any, shares. Shared his experience about how he invested 200 million and, didn't get much returns from it. So we're going to have an expert come in. BUA Adedotun, he's still with us. He's a sales trader with FBN Quest Securities. It's great to have you in, BUA.
Yeah, thank you. It's
All right. Yes. So following the conversation, I'm sure you'd have seen the video. What are your thoughts on it? And of course, he was saying, instead of, buying stocks or bank stocks, let's get into real estate. So just provide some sort of comparison, if it's possible, right, between real estate investments and, investments in bank stocks or investment on the NGX.
Okay. Yeah, I watched the video, and it was just unfortunate that it had to happen. First thing I tell clients, and the very first thing is this: wherever you keep your treasure, your heart should be there, right? It's hard to imagine a 200 million investment go down the drain just like that if no one was looking at it. So it's very, very important for you to, continue to look at it. It's just like you buy a piece of land somewhere in Lekki and you abandon it for 10, 15 years. You think you'll come back to meet it? Of course, the Lagos we had, anything can happen. So in terms of buying the banks, of course, where should you rather put your money? They've delivered returns at very, very attractive. They have very, very impressive dividend yield over time. You get your 10, 12, 15%, even in some banking counters, And I'd always say the stock market tends to outperform all other asset classes over time. And I stand to be corrected because we can only share the data. The companies will continue to pay dividend. The companies will continue to generate earnings. A smart investor continues to look at position and continues to rebalance positions and take advantage of what's happening in terms of marketing perfections. The information is always out there every day, be it a stockbroker sending it to you via email, be it a newspaper publishing it, and things like that. Everybody knows what's happening with this company. So it's not like they are in the secret or something like that. So just imagine, like an MTN. MTN has been challenged with FX issues, and we know why that is. You understand? So, of course, when you continue to see the direction of the FX, you continue to know how it's going to impact businesses like MTN and others that are dependent on FX, And reverse is for the banks because, of course, the banks will continue to get gains on this FX position because they have access to these monies. They have access to be able to take positions and things like that. So, and the banks are close to even beginning to surpass the 1 trillion naira mark in terms of earnings in 2024. So, where would you rather be if not partaking part of this earnings?
Right. So
I see the bank doing a lot more.
So from what you're saying, right, perhaps one of the missteps, with that pastor is that his heart was not in the investment. He wasn't following the news and the stories to perhaps guide him adjusting his portfolio. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. That's what happened. The banks didn't disappear overnight. There were warning signs everywhere. They were in the papers. And of course, those banks that were nationalized, those banks that were acquired and things like that, like your AfriBank, your Bank PHP, the news were there. Even Heritage, or as recent as Heritage, everybody in the industry knows. The news has always been there. So if you were following up, of course, you would know.
Yeah, and of course, getting financial advisors as well on that is something that's key. And I guess, it's only with fixed income that perhaps you can dump money and leave it there for it to accumulate interest for you, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so
it's important for you to look at.
So there's a lot of misinformation out there, especially with a lot of new investors wanting to key into what's happening with the public offers and perhaps even some rights issues. Even the experienced ones are also asking questions. So what should new investors and even the experienced investors look out for to perhaps guide their investments and avoid being burnt like the pastor was?
The very first thing is, you need to set your objectives clearly. What exactly am I trying to achieve with these investments? So once you set your objective clearly, it's easy for you to be able to say, okay, this and this. Now, if you look at the banks, of course, they've been segregated into tiers, right? And you want to say, okay, the most stable ones, we have the full guys, which are the tier 1, right? So there are 5 banks. Easily, you can isolate them and say you put them on the side. And you now look at the 5 banks and say, okay, which one has been most consistent? Of course, it's easy. The numbers don't lie. It's easy for you to speak to any financial advisor, and they will tell you, oh, this bank A, B, C, and D, you understand? They've been very, very consistent. So by narrowing it down, you get the best tool, and you can invest in it in anticipation that past performance will continue to determine future expectations. And many times, this actually is the way it plays out, because these people, they know how to do the business. They've been around forever, like for a while, and they don't look like anything that will go anywhere anytime soon. So
All right.
I'd say the banks are really, really worth investing in at current prices. They are very, very cheap.
All right. Thank you very much for that. Biodun Adedotun, sales trader, FBN Quest Securities. It was a pleasure having you on and, providing some sort of guidelines with what's going on in the sector. Thank you. All right. Have you bought into it? Will you buy? Will you sell? Will you hold? What are your sentiments around banking stocks right now, especially with the activities on the NGX, public offers right issues? Share them at Nairametrics on X. Right now, we're heading to the African markets. Of course, we are seeing the JSE down. We're seeing the Moroccan index down as well. Ghana, almost as always, is flat. So, a lot of mixed performances there. Oh, rather, excuse me. JSE is up. Morocco is up, EGX is up, and down we have Nairobi that's down. So it's more of the green across the African markets that we cover. And that's our show for today. As always, we'll be monitoring the pulse of the market, 4 p.m. West African time. Every weekday, it's Market Pulse here on News Central in partnership with Nairametrics. Join me tomorrow for another market update. Now we're heading to the global markets.